Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on a hidden part of the financial world, one that, believe it or not, affects every single one of us. It's all about the money in your bank account, and the big question is it truly yours to move?
Just think about that for a second. We all assume our money is totally liquid, right? Accessible, ready to go wherever we want, whenever we want. But is that really true? What if you tried to move a big chunk of your savings to another country today? Do you think it would be as simple as just clicking a button?
And this leads us to something called the money illusion. It's this deep-seated belief that we have total, unconditional freedom over our own funds. It's an assumption most of us never even think to question. That is, until a transfer suddenly fails.
This quote just nails it, doesn't it? We all understand physical borders, with gates and guards. But financial borders? They're totally invisible. They aren't lines on a map. They're rules, regulations, and policies that can lock your money inside a country just as effectively as any concrete wall.
So what do we actually call this invisible barrier? Well, there is an official term for it, and the best way to think about it isn't a wall, but a door. A door that can be opened, sure, but more importantly, a door that can be locked.
The term is capital controls, and you can forget the complicated jargon. At its core, a capital control is simply a door that a government can place between you and your savings, giving them the final say on whether you can move your money or not.
And just like any door, this one can be secured in a few different ways. There isn't just one type of capital control. There are several common methods, or locks, you could say, that are used to restrict the flow of money. So let's look at the three main types.
First up, you've got limits. All of a sudden, there's a cap on how much you can withdraw from an ATM or transfer in a week. Second, approvals. You want to send money abroad? Well, now you have to fill out a bunch of forms and wait for official permission, which just adds friction and delay. And third, forced FX. This one's a real doozy. It means you must convert your money at an official government rate. So if the real market says a dollar is worth 100 of your local currency, the government might only give you 80. They're basically taxing you for the privilege of leaving.
So the obvious question is, why would a government do this? I mean, why lock the door on its own citizens' money? Well, from the state's perspective, these aren't malicious acts. They're seen as defensive moves during a crisis.
And it really comes down to two main reasons. First, they're trying to defend the national currency. If everyone is selling the local currency to buy dollars or euros, its value is going to plummet. These controls can slow that down. Second, they want to stop bank runs. In a panic, if everyone tries to pull their money out of the banks all at once, the entire system can collapse. Capital controls are a way to prevent that by slowing withdrawals down to a trickle.
But these defensive measures create a huge conflict of interest, because while they might solve a big problem for the state, they create a massive problem for individuals like you and me. And this leads to a very clear division of winners and losers.
And this slide just shows that stark trade-off perfectly. The winner is the state. It gets to keep its currency reserves and maintain economic control. The loser? The saver. You. You lose access to your own money and the freedom to protect its value. It's a direct transfer of risk from the system right onto your shoulders.
Okay, so understanding the what and the why is one thing, but the real power here is learning how to spot the warning signs before that door slams shut. This isn't about predicting the future, it's about understanding the environment. So let's walk through a framework to help you spot the risk early on.
Here are 5 key indicators to keep an eye on. First, constant shortages of foreign currency, like the US dollar, just become the new normal. Second, the gap between the official exchange rate and the rate on the street gets wider and wider. Third, all of a sudden there's a bunch of new paperwork required for routine money transfers. Fourth, be really wary of temporary limits on cash withdrawals or using your card abroad. They're often just trial balloons for something more permanent. And finally, when the government starts putting new pressure on exporters to convert their foreign cash at the official lower rate, each one of these is a sign of growing financial pressure.
And it's so important to frame this the right way. This is not some alarmist checklist designed to cause a panic. The point isn't that every country is on the verge of locking down. No. Instead, think of this as a practical framework. It gives you the tools to assess the risk for yourself, wherever you are in the world, based on real observable signs.
Which leaves us with a final and pretty provocative question. We think of our money as our own. But if someone else can lock the door, preventing you from getting to it, who truly holds the key?